And so I thought I would just end by underscoring the dilemma that I think this leaves Foucault in. These are two quotations from Foucault, which I think illustrate why Foucault is in what I called many years ago now the ironist cage. I thought this phrase, the ironist cage, was very funny. And I can see that, and I have seen many times since I used it in, I think, 1989, that I have a sense of humor that's not widely shared. That is, those of you who are in sociology may remember Max Weber, right? Max Weber talked about the iron cage and the dilemmas of capitalism and bureaucracy in the early 20th century. In the late 20th century, I thought I had identified something called the ironist's cage that had infected postmodern thinking in its anti-Hegelian and Nietzschean manifestations. That is, they had no mode of legitimating political action, yet had strong radical tendencies or prejudices or desires. And that led them in a position where they could not actually argue for anything, but they could be ironic about everything. And being ironic about everything became, as Richard Rorty would say later, a way of distancing themselves from the authentic political struggles that were going on all around them. Now, the postmodern response, what do you mean by authentic political struggles? There's an argument to be had there. And for Foucault, Foucault said, more than that, Foucault said, I'm actually involved in political struggles all the time. But being involved in political struggles doesn't mean you have an argument for them. And I do think Foucault didn't have any arguments for the political struggles with which he was engaged, because any argument would involve a new form of conformity, as he says here in 1977. My position, he wrote, is that it is not up to us to propose. As soon as one proposes a vocabulary, an ideology, which can only have effects of domination. I think it's a really bald confession of political impotence. I mean, that it's really, it is an abdication of the public sphere. Now, Foucault and allies would say that the public sphere, as I've defined it, is inappropriate to their kinds of intervention. So there's not, alas, they have not been left speechless by this one, but we can talk more about that if you're interested in the question for you. It is simply in the struggle itself and through it that positive conditions emerge. This seems to me really lame. I mean, it is simply in the struggle itself and through it that positive conditions emerge. This is Deleuze's politics, which I think is, kindergarten stuff. If I'm not insulting enough, just egg me on. Deleuze in his book on Nietzsche says, well, you can count for politics. You can count on the eternal return, and because the eternal return goes around, bad negativity is evacuated. I mean, Nietzsche was not as sentimental and silly as that. Nietzsche said that the will's greatest gnashing of teeth is that it can't will backwards, because you have to go through the same shit again. If it goes around again, you have to go through it again. That means the reign of terror. That means genocide. That means it goes around again. And Deleuze in his book, and he says, well, actually, as it goes around, the negativity goes away, and that works in the 60s for a while. But I think it's really an abdication of what struggle is about. Foucault said it's something a little different. He says, in struggle, positive conditions emerge, but he doesn't say what kind of struggles. And so when talking about sexual outlaws, when someone asks Foucault, when women who were interviewing Foucault ask him about violence against women, he says, well, yeah, I understand that violence is bad, but you have to understand also that it's an expression of anti-conformity, that rape is an expression of anti-conformity. Well, you don't want to be more, if your great goal is to not be moralistic, that means that everything is permitted. And if everything is permitted, if you believe everything should be permitted, you're not, I suggest, you're incapable of politics.